there is a bit of moral hazard here as well.
Yeah, there is, but you know what? A lot of these companies are in intensive care at the moment, and you know they're on life support. And really, by extending, all you're doing is extending the life support. When in fact, really, what you should be doing is cutting it off. We will reach a time when the banks will go back to their normal practice, which is, as soon as a company defaults or as soon as they have a problem, they'll put them into workout. So, a lot of this is just, all looks lovely and nice for the companies today, but we'll go back to normality. Whereas a lot of these companies right today, they should be simply unplugging the life support and letting them go now, because they're not going to come out of that. The cancer's too great and they've already had it.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's interesting that you say they're going to go into workout. I did read one of these articles here, and I can't quite put my finger on it now. But for a start, analysts, stock analysts are saying, well, you can extend payments on loans, but we're still going to penalise the banks and treat you as if a lot of those loans are actually impaired. But the other thing is that I think that banks are still going to try and find a way, if they think that you are a zombie company or that they are going to try and manage you out. I mean, there's a quote in there somewhere, Sule, about helping. The banks are going to want to help you. Do you think they're going to be looking, calling you up and asking for a restructure? Or
I think they're currently in the vortex of trying to be apparent that they're doing everything they can to help all of their borrowers. And there's a massive government push to ensure that all these financial institutions do the best they can. But the reality is, once you get through all the gilded lilies, is compound interest is working against the borrowers. It's building up at a quicker rate than it was before. The capital needs are going to be massive. And at some point in time, the banks will be banks and they will call the debtors ledger in. They just will.
Well, I think from your point of view, Sule, I mean, you mentioned then compound interest, and the issue with that is that it's eroding wealth. I mean, you know yourself that it's one thing to wrap a company up or to restructure the company and find a way forward and preserving the wealth, the wealth of not only the shareholders, obviously, but of all the stakeholders. Whereas if these things are perpetuated, wealth gets destroyed. And you find yourself appointed to the liquidator or something, as one of my friends in Queensland likes to say, it's a sucked orange.
Definitely, if the bank's already got reasonable security, this compounding of the interest, as long as they don't breach their covenant, they're fine. But eventually you'll get to a point where if they keep on compounding that interest, they will start to breach their covenant, and then you'll start to have issues.
Yeah, the only thing there, Gary, is that banks are, I think banks have been putting up with breach covenants for a long time. I was talking to a friend of mine in one of the major banks the other day, and they were saying, termination notices are verboten. There's just no way. No one's allowed or authorised to send out a termination notice.
That's in the current environment, and I think you're right. But that will come to an end. The honeymoon will come to an end. And they'll go, because the banks have got shareholders as well. And then when they start having to account for their bad loans, we're going to start to see some issues. So, it's a holiday period, as Sule said. They're on holidays, and everyone's going to come back with the credit card completely maxed out.